It's amazing, isn't it? The seasons are changing. It is October 26, 2015. The dog is in the kennel. A little warm in the studio this morning. It's great to have you all with us on a Monday morning. And two of my favorite guests are back for a return. And yes, we have found Cindy Lorenzetti. We have found her. She's fine. She's healthy looking, and she's back. We welcome you on a Monday morning for the Weber Show. And certainly I would be remiss if I got to compliment my friend Steve Churchill, I've known for many years, for getting Cindy into the studio this morning. Steve, there was some issues relative to the last time you guys were booked as a pair. You were the only one to show up. You did hog the whole 30 minutes. By the way, you did a good job of that. No comments from Cindy. And Cindy, it's great to have you back. So I don't want to get into why you didn't show up. I understand it was you were demanding more money from Finger Lakes One. To buy new outfits for the fall. But,
Syracuse clothing.
All right, well, yeah, we'll talk about that at our break, too. Reverend, I call him Reverend Scott Schaefer. He's talking about the fight of the kids in the belly, and everybody's great, and the families are great. How about wins, baby? Everybody forgets about it. You got to win this game. I know, they had a good game, but, it's still an L. We'll talk about what they face. Let me tell you right now, how do they face it? They're 3-4, and who do they get next week? Oh, just a team that got upset by Georgia Tech, Florida State, in Florida State, and then they travel to Louisville, and then they got a team called Clemson coming to the Dome in a few weeks, and pretty amazing. We'll get to that in a few minutes about SU's fortunes, or could this be a bowlish year? We don't know. It doesn't look good right now, but you never know. There's still a few games to be played. Well, these guys are longtime friends of mine, and of course are diehard politicians who give their all in meetings and around the area, and I might add Seneca County. I would be remiss if I didn't open up the interview by saying, talking national politics, Cindy, it looks like now that Joe Biden is not running. He's made his announcement. So it does appear in our lifetime we're going to have a woman, unless something unbelievably happens, running for president. She will be on the ticket. It looks like Hillary versus I'm not sure who else. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, boy.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting. We got a lot of Republicans running, and we have Hillary. I don't know about Bernie. I don't think he's in it. No. And quite honestly, I was kind of hoping for Joe Biden. Yeah. I've always liked Joe Biden, but you could tell that when he was first asked and he wasn't sure, that probably meant that his heart wasn't going to be into it. So God bless him and his family.
Yeah, and I think it was a good decision. Steve, what's your thoughts on Hillary being on the ticket for president of the United States? Pretty amazing.
I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, it certainly gives us, the way it's heading, it looks like we're going to have one hell of a choice.
Yeah.
Between Hillary and whoever the opponent is. It's going to be an interesting election for sure.
I'm curious of who's going to get the Republican nod. I really am. That kind of fascinates me. Will it be Dr. Ben Carson, laid back, brain surgeon? Will it be Rubio coming from the back of the pack? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Jeb Bush.
No, Bush has pretty much thrown his hands up in the air. I think he's about had it.
Yeah.
In your guys' length with politics, and you guys have been involved in this for many, many years, Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, is different. He's self-funding his campaign because he's got $14 billion of his own money. It's pretty interesting the way he attacks issues, and it's amazing to me. I think most Americans, including myself and Mary, my wife Mary, both are enamored by him to a certain degree because you guys can appreciate this. He's saying things that a lot of us are thinking about.
Yes.
And he's doing it publicly around the country.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty amazing, and whether or not he'll get the Republican nomination, wouldn't that be something, Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump for the President of the United States? Well, let's switch to local politics. A lot's been going on. I mentioned before we went on the air this morning, Cindy Lorenzetti, Steve Churchill, good friends of mine working for the Board of Supervisors of Seneca County, been there a long time. Cindy, let's talk about this county manager now. I was needling you about the length that it's been taking. It's a painful process. I believe you're down to 3 candidates. Would you please run those 3 candidates down for us?
Oh, boy.
When do you think a decision might be made? I guess that's the question now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I was on all 3 search committees, and yes, it's taken almost a year to try to find someone. I think we learned a little bit each time we did a different search. One of the things that we needed to do was raise the salary.
Okay.
We did that, and then on the second search, we did get a bigger group. But to be quite honest with you, and I am going, as far as Trump, where he doesn't have to be politically correct, I kind of understand that, and I'm going to take that stand today. Basically, we have not had a outstanding candidate that we can all agree on. And we've ran the county for almost a year without a county manager, and not that that's a good deal. And I know the Seneca County departments, they're doing a good job though running the county, and Nick Ciotti stepped up to the plate and put together a budget for us, so we thank him. But we're working hard, and we're just trying to find the right candidate. And no, it's not been an easy task, but at this point, I think we all feel that we want to make sure who we pick is the right candidate, rather than think that it's taken so long and just pick anybody. So I think with us taking our time has been the right way to go.
Now, the candidates are Evangelista, right? Charlie?
Well, the three that we've interviewed,
Right.
Charlie Evangelista from Geneva, Sarah Purdy from Yates County, and John Shepard, also another Ontario County. Actually, Charlie and him are both in politics in Ontario County.
Okay.
So, tomorrow night, maybe we'll have a decision. I'm not sure.
Right.
But I guess Wednesday will tell.
Comment, Steve, about it? The chase for a county manager?
Well, it has been a long search, and I think we do have some good candidates in front of us right now. So a decision may be imminent, but we desperately need one. I'm one of those folks. There are some folks that think we could get by without one. Look, we've done it for a year, but absolutely not. We need somebody up there, strong leadership that's really going to. I mean, we have a lot of challenges in this county, and that's a vital job.
Now, I would be kind of absent-minded if I didn't talk about a topic that is brought up that hit the papers a few weeks ago that I have noticed regarding it's coming back. It's like a bad penny. All of a sudden, you see it again. The villages and towns trying to share the taxes relative to the county. That has not happened. It doesn't sound like it's going to happen. A lot of comments being made relative to a lot of counties sharing profits around the state, where Seneca County says no to that. Given back and forth on the issue, Cindy, what's your opinion of this? It always gets brought up. It seems like every couple of years that you guys need to split the pie. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we voted against it a
Right.
few months back. However, it's not that I would say we want to flip-flop with our voting, but if we could be educated, like myself, if I could understand it a little bit more, and somebody brings a proposal back in 6 months, another year, that looks better and looks like it makes sense, then I'm also going to be open-minded enough to take another look at it.
Steve, Bars,
Well,
sharing the money.
Yep. Well, Mr. Charles Bosman down in Covert is the one that really formulated, him and a crew of folks down there, and I think they did an awesome job. They formulated a plan to essentially get the discussion going, and I think that's absolutely the correct thing to do. Get that discussion going. We didn't have much of a discussion about it at the county. I think it's certainly worthy. We're talking about sharing. I mean, his proposal was talking about sharing new tax revenues, sales tax revenues specifically, that would come out of the boon from Lago and all the other businesses that light up on 318. I think it's certainly worthy because there are a lot of areas in this county that need some desperate cash, some infusion, and there's many, many ways to do it. I mean, the county may just choose to get involved into funding some projects that those communities need. At the end of the day, we're just helping our whole county. So I think we should have the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And you just segued myself into the comment about Lago. Talk about discussion. Full-page ads by Tom Wilmot and the Lago representatives, along with a tremendous barrage of sending stuff out to all the homeowners and residents of Seneca County supporting the Lago Casino. This has been a long, drawn-out soap opera. First, the bulldozer gets turned on, then the bulldozer gets turned off. Then it gets turned on, now it's turned off, now it's back on. And now, of course, as Cindy and myself talked before the show, and Steve, the likes of the Turning Stone folks at Oneida, along with Finger Lakes Racing and Casino up in the slot machine operation, along with that horse track, which I think is ridiculous. I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, everybody pays $3.20 for a horse. They only got like 6 horses in the field up Canandaigua. Really need to look at that. But seriously, with Finger Lakes and Oneida County, likes the Turning Stone financing commercials nonstop, and Cindy, you mentioned it's on radio. You see it every 8 minutes on TV. They want the gaming commission to say no at the 11th hour to Lago, and personally, I don't think that's going to happen. Your feelings? A lot of anti, right up to the minute.
Terrible.
Terrible.
My feelings, basically, I could go on and on
Sure.
about it, but I feel that the governor should have stepped in. The governor made the deal with the Oneidas and said, okay, you give blah, blah, blah to these counties. Here's where the zones are.
Right.
This little chunk, which is us, was carved out to be, we could do whatever we want in that zone. Why he hasn't come in and stepped up to the plate, I have no idea. And I just think that it's just a mess for not only the Wilmots, but the people of Seneca County. And I think he could be the one that would come in and just say, enough is enough, and we made a deal, and these people are going to be licensed. Wilmot's played by all the rules. They did everything they needed to do. They put the money up. They got the lawyers.
And
I want to
great
say...
expense, too.
Oh, big time. And the town of Tyre, their town board and their planning board, and I want to give kudos to Ron McGreevy, because who would have ever known that him signing up as supervisor and that town board would go through what they've done. So God bless them. And, Andrew, step in and put an end to this, because he could do it right now.
Steve, it's an ongoing soap opera.
Yeah. And
Never
Cindy's right. I mean, it's all about leadership, and we just aren't seeing it from Albany in this issue. They're just letting it kind of fester, and and if you let it go to the courts, it'll be in the courts forever. We know that on the Indian front. But another thing I like to say is that we always think competition's good. We're a capitalistic society, and there certainly are some downsides to capitalism. But if capitalism is good, I mean, look at Vegas. There's a casino every 100 yards.
Yeah.
Here we're talking about, well, we don't want a casino every 70 miles. I don't see the problem with it. I'm not a gambler, but I just don't buy that competition thing. I mean, we're a long way from Rome, and so come on.
At the end of the day, what people who watch these commercials on TV funded by the Oneidas need to understand is that the Oneidas struck a deal with the state, a very favorable deal for the Oneidas of exclusivity over a 10-county area, and this lies just outside that area. So, there's nothing to complain. There's nothing.
Correct.
They
made
no
that
argument.
deal. Essentially, they're essentially reneging on the deal.
Right.
And they ought to be penalized some way for that. Shut them down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'll happen. Right.
Well, a lot to talk about. Certainly Lago, a big forefront, which upset me regarding the way they did it. Tioga Downs and the Broome County, Binghamton area, they said no. They were disallowed it early on. The vote was not to give them one. And the owner,
they're breaking ground here in a week.
Yeah, and the owner went ballistic and said he spent $1 million of his own money during the post news conference when the selections were made in Albany, and all of a sudden, a few months later, they're back in consideration and they've approved it. So I'm a little concerned and a little disturbed about that too. If you make a decision, then you go back on it. It didn't make any sense to me. So this whole thing doesn't make any sense. So I guess we're all waiting. T-minus, a couple of months? Now they're saying the end of December where the actual licenses will be given. And that, of course, will be the key moment. I'm sure that'll be the headline of the Finger Lakes Times and all periodicals. I guess, I have my doubts. I like to play a few slots. I like to play a few card games when I'm in the mood. My wife loves to play slots when we're somewhere to have some fun. And you go in with a thought you're not going to win, and most of the time you don't. But the point is, let's get off center. Let's do something. I mean, let's move. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of things. Is it going to be perfect scenario for Seneca County? No. Are there going to be issues with this casino? Yes. I'm still concerned about the infrastructure. I'm sure Cindy and Steve have been out there many, many times. I always kid about getting out of the McGee Diner, trying to make a left coming out of that diner after having breakfast. Good night, Irene. I can't get out of there now. And you got the trucks coming across. You got the people leaving McGee, and here we got a casino which expects to bring in 9,000 more visitors to the county a day. I used to work at the Thruway. I don't anymore, thank God. That's going to be a zoo. It's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be perfect. There's going to be issues, and but you have to overcome those. And do I think it's going to create revenue? Absolutely. And I think some money that we can spend in from the county level and from the villages and the towns, it's a good thing.
Seneca County stands to do very well.
Very well.
When and our neighboring counties do as well. That money will be shared beyond just Seneca County.
Yeah.
So it really is a plus for the region.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting, and I just hope and pray that we can get this thing finally recognized. And I don't know why it's taken so long to issue these licenses. I keep hearing it's a background check. My God, the FBI can check on Jimmy Senecropi's background in less than 20 minutes. Just put up a computer program,
Yeah, I
Jimmy.
hope they don't.
Well, they could. They could. Maybe not, but they could. I mean, now it's taken months to get a background on the Wilmots and everybody else connected with this casino. So, well, let's get to Steve. I know you work on a lot of things that are dear to your heart at the county level. Steve Churchill and City of Lorenzetti, my special guest on Weber this week. Hope you're having a good Monday morning. Steve, let's talk about some of the things you're working on. I know that you're dearly involved in a lot of special things. I want to get Cindy to talk about the depot, but how about some of the things you're working with?
Well, still working on the LPG
Yep.
gas storage issue. It's still sitting out there. It's still sitting in the DEC's lap right now. Some changes at the DEC. Commissioner Martens retired, stepped down a month or so ago, maybe a couple months ago. There was an interim, and now a new gentleman, Basil Sagos, is going to be taking over the helm. I've met with Sagos before, seems to be a little bit more empathetic about the issue here in Finger Lakes. He seems to get it. His background comes from, he's a lawyer, comes from protecting the Hudson River against some of the big issues that's faced in the past. He was part of that River Watch organization. So meeting with Brian Kolb's office tomorrow with a handful of folks to try to get him on board. Nozzolio has come out against it. Kolb has not. He's kind of sitting waiting for the DEC's decision. But I think him as a leader, Kolb as a leader,
Right.
should make a decision himself. His responsibility is to influence the DEC. Look at the facts. Look at what your constituents want, and speak up for them. That's what I'm going to ask Kolb to do tomorrow. But the big issue here in Seneca Falls, obviously, is the new trash trains.
Here come the trains.
Again, 2 years later, it looks like Seneca Meadows has been busy building a rail yard. They're very busy on the east side of 414, way back off the road. A lot of equipment, a lot of dirt moved, a lot of stone hauled in there. So you really got to wonder what they're doing. Hasn't been any. I've been to codes. I'm trying to get an answer. Haven't got an answer yet. But they're certainly straightening the tracks on State Street, and they're doing that to accommodate these 100-foot rail cars that contain these containers of trash from New York City. It was kind of leaked out last week that there was this proposal for a 20-year with two 5-year extensions, so a 30-year contract with New York City to take their garbage via rail. So I'll be 92 if and when that ends.
Right.
But the landfill doesn't have the permits to expand or get any
Right.
bigger than it is today, the 400 acres they sit. So you wonder what somebody knows that we don't know. So there's a lot going on that front. And I'm fighting hard against it. I mean, it's my belief that the folks in this town have had enough of the landfill. And what we've got to do is get busy and figuring out how we're going to get ourselves off that cocaine stream, which is the money that they...
Most definitely, and I just want to give Steve a lot of kudos for everything that he's done, but also I'm totally against the trash chains, and the agreement, the contract is with the town of Seneca Falls, and all I can say is, town of Seneca Falls people, you need to come to meetings and you need to start voicing you don't want it anymore, you want it to end. As far as the county goes, as far as running a town with a $2.2 million host agreement, you had a lot of years. You put all your water and sewer lines in now, folks, and what I say to the town of Seneca Falls is every other town doesn't have a host agreement, and we run our towns, and we plow our roads, and we buy our equipment. So if we can all do it, you can do it. So get yourself a plan and get rid of that $2.2 million. It's not worth it.
And you know what? The timing couldn't be any better. I mean, the host benefit agreement was really written wrong. We should have written an agreement that gave us a soft landing when the landfill closed instead of this abrupt drop.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the way it is. But with Lago coming in, it could help soften the blow. The other thing that the people in Seneca Falls have to realize that there are some businesses here that may not stay if that landfill is allowed to grow or expand. So we've got to decide what types of businesses we want here. There's probably businesses that we don't know that have come and looked here and decided not to come here because the landfill is active. We've got to shut it down.
Yeah.
Well, I live up on State Street, and it's an inconvenience to myself. It seems like every 28 minutes there's a train coming by, right by the old
It'll
office.
be worse. It'll be
and it's
much, much
unbelievable. And My dad was an engineer. I used to love trains. I'm not so
Yeah.
sure anymore. Hey, this is Weber This Week. My friends Cindy Lorenzetti, Steve Churchill, Seneca County Supervisor. We get Cindy to comment about the depot. A lot of discussion about the depot. Going to be able to buy property out there and build a home? Yeah, what are you going to be able to do out there? What's going on in the future of the depot? Much discussed topic, and I think things are going to happen out there, good or bad, down the road fairly quick. We'll get Cindy's comments about the depot. This is Weber This Week. Let's hear from the great sponsors that make this show possible. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Cicino's. Live, laugh, eat well. It's the Italian way. It's also the Cicino's way. Place your order today at Cicinos.com. Locations, Main Street, Waterloo, and 401 Exchange Street in Geneva. The Good Hotel welcomes you to come out and enjoy the revitalization of this historical landmark. Wednesdays, don't forget Ladies' Night with special price drinks and half-priced appetizers. Tap is Thursday, and their chef serves a dinner special every night. The Good Hotel in Seneca Falls. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com, awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in Central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com. Seneca Falls, Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. Welcome back, everybody. It's a dog with you on a Monday morning. A little chilly start this morning, a little frost on the windshield. Supposed to be not bad today in tomorrow, like mid-50ish. Then Wednesday, lots of rain, I understand. Going to be mid to high 40s by the weekend. So, hey, it's almost November, so we got to deal with what we got to deal. By the way, Jim told me during our commercial break, I feel like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart used to be the Comedy Central guy. I loved Jon Stewart's show. I loved his show, and he was phenomenal. His first 5 or 6 minutes of his program, when he did his opening remarks, was spectacular. I don't even watch it anymore now that he's retired, but I kind of love it. They got Stephen Colbert. He's got his own show. All kinds of different people have gotten different shows. We had Josh Durso, who I enjoy reading his. Is it bi-weekly, Jimmy?
His column?
Yeah, his column. Bi-weekly?
I don't know if
I think it's every couple of weeks.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And he writes on some interesting topics. It kind of got my blood flowing. I've always been a big fan of his writing. We had him in on the show a few weeks ago, and Jim tells me he's going to have his own show right here.
Yep,
Nice.
starting
Way to go, Josh.
starting on Thursday
4 o'clock?
at 4 o'clock. He's going to have Greg Lazaro in, Seneca Falls
Right.
Town Council, about the election coming up.
Yep.
And it's going to be a bi-weekly show focusing on topics called Inside the FLX with Josh Durso. So we're excited about that.
Good.
And, always love bringing, decision makers and people of influence in here like Cindy and Steve.
Yep.
And so I think that Josh's show will be similar to today's show.
Well, so Josh, congratulations. He's a regular viewer of the show, and I hope that I had a little something to do with you getting your own show, because you were on mine.
And then
Just
Jessica Lar also came.
And Jessica Lar I had on my show.
transition.
She's got her show. So you guys interested in doing a show, talk to Jimmy. We'd love to have you
I'll
come
talk to Weber. He's the guy.
How much does it pay?
Nothing.
Well, I've got a lot of those jobs.
If you bring in $1,000 a month for sponsorship, Jimmy will cut you a check for $50.
There you go. That's not a bad.
Gotta keep the lights on
One
here.
half of 1%.
I like that. You're good with math. I'm impressed. All right, Cindy.
Went to Waterloo, you know.
Yeah, I know. Hey, let's before we get back to Cindy about the depot, we got to talk about a couple of sports topics. Jimmy, I know is not thrilled with the way things are going at the Dome with the SU football program. I know I make fun of Scott Schaefer a lot because he gives the same speech at the end of every game. Great kids, great family, great fire in their bellies. It's got to win. It comes
Sounds
down
like
to
Rex
winning.
Reed.
You're opening up 3-0. Now you're lost 4 straight. And the road is not very good looking forward. If you just assume they're going to lose to Florida State next week in Tallahassee. And if you assume they're going to lose to Clemson at the Dome in 3 weeks, and those are pretty good assumptions, that means you've got to win Carolina, Boston College, and Louisville. You got to win those 3 to get the 6 to get bowl eligible. I don't know. Clemson shows they got a powerhouse. And by the way, if you don't think Clemson's a good football team, they labeled or laid on Miami the U, which Jimmy, whether he likes the Miami University football program or not, a lot of NFL players are a result of that program. Win bad. They laid on the worst defeat in the history
got their coach
of Miami
fired.
football. Is he gone?
Al Golden got fired.
I figured it was just a matter of time. It was on a ticking. 58-0. They beat Miami in Miami this past Saturday. 58-0. It was scary. So, Cindy, I know you're a big Orange supporter. I guess I'm of the opinion, the kids are young. I get that. But these games are so close. You got to bring home a couple of W's. You got to bring the wins. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, Harold, you're asking me about the football team, which I don't follow as well as the basketball team.
I know.
But it sounds like their coach and Rex Reed share the same kind of Rex Ryan. I'm sorry, the same good kids, tough game. We got the fire in our belly, but we're not winning. But I thought Buffalo would have a better season too. And unfortunately,
Jacksonville's one of the worst teams ever.
It is.
I mean, granted, they're down 27-3. And they got a lead, 31-27, and they end up losing it in the last minute. Yeah. I don't know. I get to the point where I've never been a big fan of Scott Schaefer's. A lot of people think he's great. I've never been a big fan of this guy from the get-go, but we'll see. I'm sure the SU football program needs some revitalization. You look at the crowd this past weekend against the Pitt. There are a lot of empty seats there. Not the case with basketball. Yeah. It's going to be interesting as we move forward. Let's talk about the Bills' ugly loss. They did trail 27-3, a lot of turnovers. And I took a break, went outside, was talking to a couple of neighbors. I was out there for 15, 20 minutes, came back inside, and all of a sudden they're leading 31-27. I went, wow, here come the Bills. The flight home from London is going to be awesome. And then Jacksonville, which, by the way, is one of the sorriest football programs. I'm sorry. It really is a sorry program. They had a one win, and it was ugly. And they found a way to go down the field and score on a touchdown to beat the Bills, Heartbreak City. And I can't wait to read the Democrat Chronicles. I'm sure Rex has got more excuses than Liverpool's. But Cindy's right. And by the way, Rex is guaranteed when he came in, got the job, the Pakula family hired him. He guarantees a playoff spot. They haven't had one in 15 years, but he guaranteed it this year. You're I think you're 2 or 3 behind the Jets, who look good against the Patriots, and I think you're 4 games behind New England and Tom Brady. So your road to a playoff, you got to start quick. By the way, I know you're big Tom Coughlin fans, like we all are. The Giants win last night against Dallas. Yesterday, late afternoon game. Tom Coughlin setting an NFL record, being 1 of 7, by the way, which I found out before the game, if you were to win that game, by the Giants winning last night under Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin is the 7th coach in NFL history to have 100 wins and 2 Super Bowls with the same team. Tom Coughlin.
Very good.
Historical mark for the NFL with that win last night.
Waterloo Zone.
There you go.
Yep, World Series. Now that we have a break, I almost forgot the World Series was going on. There's got this gap of several days now. They start tomorrow night. Kansas City will host the first 2. I believe then they go to New York for 3, and then they come back to Kansas City for 2 more. Mets with their strong pitching. Royals seem to play good baseball. Growing up, Jimmy, they used to be the doormat of the baseball leagues. The Kansas City
Royals?
Yep.
Well, maybe for you growing up. When I was growing up, they had George Brett at third base. And,
yeah, we're talking about different generations here.
Yeah, but traditionally the Royals not so good. But then again, the Mets haven't really been good since '86 and the year they played the Yankees in the Subway Series. So it's that's one of the good things about baseball, though. You get a variety of different teams, contending for the World Series year to year.
Fox will have the coverage. World Series starts tomorrow. God, I wish it was earlier than 8 o'clock, but anyways, they go to midnight. Mets, KC, World Series. By the way, one other sporting comment to me that I love. I'm not a horse gambler. Once in a while, I go up to the Finger Lakes racetrack and bet on a nag, and believe me, they're nags up there. I hate to say it. They're really nags. But this weekend is the Breeders' Cup. Now, what's the Breeders' Cup? The Breeders' Cup is a culmination of all the horses worldwide that qualify and spend a fortune to get in these events. They come from all over the world. They descend on a spot. This year it's going to be in Keeneland, in Kentucky. The heart throb of thoroughbred racing. It's going to be Friday afternoon late and Saturday, all day Saturday afternoon, and cupped off by the Breeders' Classic on NBC. NBC Sports Channel will have the first, 11 or 12 races. If you've never enjoyed horse racing, if you have any inkling to watch racing, I urge you to check it out. It's phenomenal. You get nothing but the greatest of all, and I think that's phenomenal. I think there's like 14 races. It's called the Breeders' Cup. Check it out. You'll enjoy it. And you can bet a couple of bucks on a couple of these nags, and they're not nags for the Breeders' Cup. Enough about sports. Let's go back to Cindy, talking Cindy about the depot. Lots of discussion, lots of newspaper articles. Me and Mary are going to be able to go out there and buy some property and build a home soon. Or what's going on with the depot? A lot of discussion. Where's the stand?
A lot of discussion. There's going to be an informational session on November 7th, Saturday morning at the Romulus Fire Department. Supposedly, the town of Romulus and Varick have hired well, it used to be Stu Brown's. I can't remember what the company's name is now, where they're going to have like maps and give some reports. But the IDA, I think, has tried to be very fair about this process, trying to put it out there for everyone. Everybody got upset when they thought there were one or two big developers, like big time, farmers in the area that had that put in their proposals. Mm-hmm. And so now we're trying to make it a fair process, and there'll be applications, and everyone will be given their shot to put an application in and to put in what they feel they'd like to have for the depot. It's not all about the money. It could be about an application that comes in that's strong, that would take a certain piece of the property and make a lot of jobs on it. By a lot of jobs, we mean anywhere from 20 to 100. Unfortunately, the depot was tried to be marketed that everyone thought there would be a big company that would come in, and that has not happened. I know that the white deer is very, very true to a lot of people's hearts. And hopefully maybe someone will come in with a proposal that they'll maintain that herd and manage it, and we'll go from there. Right now, though, the information is trying to be put out to the public, so they'll be made aware, they'll be educated, and it's going to be a very transparent process. So,
Steve, comments about the depot?
Oh, absolutely. And not that we disagree a lot. I think Cindy and I, we took part in a symposium this past summer at Finger Lakes Institute at Hobart William Smith to discuss the future of the depot. I was looking forward to some follow-up sessions. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But first and foremost, the IDA wants to get out from underneath it because the Army is going to be leaving. When are they going to leave? When Steve Absalom, who is actually the pointer, he's in charge of the mission out there, when he retires, it's done. So it's really, he's pulling the trigger. It's not so much the Army, it's one man. And it looks like he's going to be doing that soon. I mean, he's yours and mine ages, and he's had enough. Old. Yeah. But the thing that disturbs me about the depot is that there are a lot of ideas for the depot. A lot of them are floating around, a lot of them kicking around. This application idea is just going to bring in a whole bunch of new ideas. But to me, an idea isn't necessarily a plan. And there isn't a plan. We've had plenty of time to sit down and work on a long-term strategic plan for that depot, and we haven't done it. So I'd like to see that happen. So how do we get there? Personally, I think I'm in favor of the IDA turning the depot over to the county.
Which is an option.
Yeah. Somebody has to assume the liability. What is the liability of the depot? Well, somebody goes through the fence, maybe a patch the fence, there's some mowing, maybe a little plowing. It's not a lot. You keep hearing this $500,000 a year bill is the maintenance bill for the depot. I think the majority of that is probably tied up in the salaries of the folks that are currently working.
What about tainted soil or soil remediation? I've heard things about that. I have no idea if it's true or not because of the former.
The Army's taking care of that, and they're cleaning up the process now. Are there going to be some pieces of land out there that are going to be like a red spot, and you're not going to be able to live on them? Yes, but the Army is going to take care of that before they do leave. And as far as, did we know when they were going to leave? I don't know. I just got on the IDA board this year. Did we wait till the last minute? It certainly looks that way because now they're saying 2016. But the big thing is, there's options. There's options that the town of Eric could take it over, the town of Romulus, the county could take it over. But what people don't understand is, are the taxpayers going to want to burden that $500,000? Are we going to be able to keep the white herd and going and the management? So the application really isn't a plan. Well, the application would be for someone that has an idea to come in, and they're going to put money down, fill out an application, and say what they want done with a certain parcel that they want to buy. Then it's going to be up to the IDA to look it over and to see what's going to be a good fit. If somebody's going to bring jobs with an application, that would weigh. Sometimes even jobs would be more than a price tag for the application. So, but again, if the county wants to assume that responsibility, I don't think the IDA would have a problem with that.
Yeah, here's the thing. To answer your question, Jim, that's what the Army has been doing out there this past 20 years, is cleaning up the depot. There are certain areas, to Cindy's point, that will never be cleaned. You'll never be able to put a shovel in the ground. There's other areas that have 500 igloos. I mean, the majority of the property that's left, 7,500 acres, has igloos on them. Can you farm that area effectively? Yeah, some farmers think you can.
But
I would argue
igloos,
the soil,
you mean the missile storage bunkers that are underground? Is that what you mean?
they aren't underground. They're above ground.
Well, yeah, but they're covered with dirt.
They're covered with dirt.
They're there, but they don't take up 7,500 acres. I
No, they
mean,
don't
there's a
take up-
certain section.
Well, they take up
There's
a
a lot of
majority of
them.
that 7,500 acres. There's 2,000 acres that are deemed wetlands by the DEC in New York State that are part and parcel of that 75. So now you're really talking effectively about 5,500 acres you could ever do anything with.
But some of those bunkers that are in a row with a road have use. Like I know that FLTG has a data center in one
Yeah.
now.
In one.
Yeah, in
And
one
there's
there's
storage.
a lot
And
more.
then they have store. Yeah, there
Storage.
are some uses, but that takes money. And again, 20 years, nobody's really stepped up to the plate to do a lot of it. They do have a data center in one. It's very nice. They
Yep.
probably put a lot of money into turning that bunker into a data
But
center.
you're right, just the one.
And it's just the one. They have 64. They essentially, FLTG essentially occupies what's known as the old Q area. And those bunkers, I think, were kept in better shape than a lot of the old munition bunkers are in sad shape. But there's certainly some liability. I mean, if you open that up to the public tomorrow and had, think about it, four-wheelers and snowmobilers going
Dangerous.
through there, and you kind of lost control. People could get hurt.
Well, there's some buildings that if people went to explore out there, if they were allowed, to take a four-wheel out there, that there's some really old buildings that were kind of almost just seem to have been just left, like everybody left. It's
and they
kind of
just-
eerie.
They've
Yeah.
imploded. A lot of those have imploded. The warehouses have all imploded. The roofs are all gone.
Yeah.
It's really sad, but
Yeah.
but I think, personally, I'm in favor of preserving, conserving those white deer. I think they're a huge attraction. I believe people would come from all over to see them. I really do. They would be a money maker, huge money. Are they going to be a Lago? No, but it's going to be a place that people who come and stay at Lago would take a trip to see. It's absolutely fascinating. And the history of the depot itself is fascinating. That's an attraction of itself. Most people have never been on the depot who live in Seneca County, and it's a pretty neat place to visit.
And the thing is that if that's why people were having informational meetings, you need to come out and you need to voice your concerns because
Absolutely.
we're trying to get that. We want people to tell us
November
how they feel.
7th at the Romulus Firehouse, right
10
downtown,
o'clock.
right downtown Romulus.
Well,
It's
if
a
you
small-
blink, you pass Romulus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 o'clock.
you come in and you hang a quick left. It's right there. There should be anybody cares about the white deer, you ought to be there, and because their fate is really in our hand, and it's not looking really good for them right now. There are those folks that think that they might just be a casualty of progress here. That we really can't take into consideration the white deer. I see them as an opportunity, and so I'll be there, and I'll be making a statement.
I'm not surprised. I like that.
You should be there. You'll
Go
be
ahead,
there,
Cindy,
right?
yeah.
Can I just add one more thing too?
Go ahead.
And I know we've talked about a lot here, and I know we've went over, but I do want to bring up the Cayuga Indian Nation issue really quickly.
Go ahead.
And say that again, the governor, the state attorney could step in, and we could have an end to a lot of the things that have been happening now. And I know that
And the feds.
Yep.
And we have been left alone on our own in this county.
I know.
And everybody blames
True, it's sick. Nobody knows.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody is blaming the Cayuga Indian Nation and everybody, but here's the thing. blame the people that you put in office right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they could be coming in and they could be monitoring, they could be, they could be making decisions and making this end, but they're not, so we're left alone. We're
If the
left
violence
alone again.
continues, anyone's killed, that blood is on Andrew Cuomo's hands.
Well, the thing
It's
is,
on
we've
the Bureau of
been,
Indian Affairs hands.
we've kind of got it,
ATF.
we've
Yep,
kind
you
of
get-
shoved
right down.
up from the state, and I'll go right to the governor's office. Between Lago, between the Cayuga Indian
Right.
Nation, and it's really getting to be ridiculous. And I also want to let people know one other thing. We have not forgot how we got mishandled and mistreated and got screwed by
Right.
hair speech.
Yeah.
So I just want to say we can't say a lot about that topic, but we have not forgot it.
Yeah, that's true. And it's sad. Well, before we say goodbye, since I have allowed you to run over, because you've always needled me about,
Doesn't look like we're breaking the record.
well, no, you're
The
just...
the Ferrara brothers. set the
Ferrara
record.
boys got you by 10 minutes, but I just want to say that I want you both to speak about next Tuesday, Election Day, and that even though you both are politicians and you both have run several times, and very successfully, I might add, Cindy, you want to speak to our viewers to get out and vote. That's the purpose of elections.
To get out and vote, but I guess what I want to say even more so is people need to get involved. There's a lot of Seneca County races that are uncontested, and sometimes that can mean that the people that are in office are doing a great job and
Right.
everybody's happy. But I think everyone likes a little competition, and I think that when somebody runs, to have another opponent against them kind of holds your feet over the fire, and people just need to get involved. And politics is not fun, and it takes up a lot of time, but if you don't get involved, things are not going to change. So
Steve, same thing. You want to get people to get out.
Absolutely. I mean, the vote. I've said this before. If you really want to honor what the veterans of our country have given, and they've given it all, right? The least you can do is vote, and the most you can do is vote. But I want to make a plug for my fellow Democrats actually in Geneva, Jackie Augustine, who's running for mayor,
I
and
saw
Ken
that, yeah.
Cameron running for. Those folks have been stalwart proponents and supporters of the environment. They're right with me on the forefront of the LPG gas storage and a lot of other issues. And so for the folks in Geneva, get out and vote for those two folks if you care about the environment.
Right. Well, guys, we got to shut it off. I appreciate you coming in as usual.
one other thing, Harold.
Go ahead.
I just want to say congratulations to your daughter. I know
Oh,
she was one of the ladies for
thank
the
you.
distinction. And, there's one thing, all of us as parents, we want
Yeah.
our kids to do better than we have. So congratulations to you and your wife.
Thank you. I was telling Jimmy that Sam, my daughter Sam, did get recognized, and we went to a nice event last Thursday night at Ventosa, and it was well set up. And Samantha, unlike me, is under the radar. She doesn't like the media side of it, and she's not. She's outgoing to me, but she's not outgoing personality. She likes to do her dog grooming and her cat work in her van, as Jim knows, since she's close to Jim. Down the road, go to the house, do your work, and move on. So she was a little awestruck about the recognition, but we were there, and she did great. She warmed up to the idea, and I want to thank the people involved, and especially Chelsea Campbell, who nominated her to get her in the mix. And she had a good time. So congratulations to my daughter, Sam, and thank you for the comments. So she's a hard worker.
Yeah,
she
she
gets up
is.
every morning because if she doesn't get out and dog groom, and she don't get paid. Those are the things about when you
Yeah.
got to get up and go work.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate you guys taking time out. We'll have you back.
Thank
Very
you for
good.
having us.
Thank you.
It's always good.
And by the way, as Jim pointed out, a new show coming up Thursday. Josh Durso was on the program at 4 o'clock. We'll be talking to Greg Lazaro, and that should be interesting as heck. And we wish Josh the best of luck on his new program here. And Steve and Cindy will be signing up for additional slots in this, and Jimmy will be probably have Steve do his show 1 o'clock in the morning to 2, which will be great. And I think it'll be a hit. I think it'll be a hit. The cows won't be up yet. You'll get a great audience.
I'm sure.
Listen, hey, folks, take care. By the way, next week I won't be here. The dog will be out of the kennel. Jim will be hosting the show. Sharon Holden, the phenomenal director of marketing for the Gould Hotel. Lots to talk about with what she's working on with Jimmy here at Finger Lakes One, plus what's happening at the Gould. A lot of things are happening at the Gould Hotel. And by the way, check that show out next week. The following week, the 9th of November, my good friend who these folks know very well. Dave Barnick from the South End, who I had the audacity to hire him back in the 70s to help me do sports. He'll be on the couch talking sports. And speaking of sports, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about our upcoming high school basketball coverage here on Finger Lakes One. I know Jimmy is working on a schedule. I believe, Jimmy, we're going to start sometime late November, the Saturday after
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
The schedule's getting finalized. There's a couple new gyms in the mix.
Yep.
It's all our big sponsors are coming back, which
That's
we
great.
appreciate. FLCC, Finger Lakes Community College, coming on as a big sponsor, which is nice. And Saturday, November 24th, I think we start out with 4 games at the Chiropractic
4
College.
games.
So, and then real quickly, it'll be Lions versus Mid-Lake, South Seneca versus Southern Cuba, Minders versus Clyde, and Geneva versus North Rose Wolcott. So a bunch of Wayne Finger Lakes teams to kick off the season. And then after that, we're on our way.
4-game coverage, so that'll be interesting and a long day at the NYCC. So speaking from my friend Cindy Lorenzetti along with Steve Churchill, this is the dog bidding you a pleasant good morning and take care, everybody. We'll catch you next week.
By becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com